Patreon.com/Taylor Durden. $5 a month for 5 hours of content, at least, bare minimum. Some months up to 10 or 12 hours. So, getting started late here with the news, though. I think it's a bunch of cool stuff to talk about today, honestly. Some things I wanted to talk about last night that I forgot to go into. And I guess since it's Halloween, I'm going to stick to some of the theme of Halloween and go in on some things just to start it off, get me rolling here. By the time, for a lot of people, they'll be watching this November 1st, so I guess it won't matter, but I'll get through this real quick. I know a lot of people are familiar with, people that watch my stuff, they might be familiar with a YouTube channel called Mind Unveiled. They got a bunch of pretty cool videos. I think it's like, I don't want to say like woke light. It's like a very softcore version of of the, I guess the consciousness or alternative awakening, as far as alternative history or like revisionist history. But they got a cool video about Halloween. The video is called Ragamuffins and Cabbage Night. The original Halloween is like a lost orphan holiday, having originated as a holiday centered around orphans, poverty, and social inversion, rather than just spooky fun or ancient pagan rituals. And it just goes in like on Halloween's forgotten roots in the orphan culture. It was known as Ragamuffin Day, a tradition where poor children and orphans dressed in tattered clothes and begged for food or coins. This practice was especially common in New York City and other urban centers in the late 19th and 20th centuries. Because, Halloween really kind of wasn't a thing until the 50s. It was kind of an invented holiday. As much as they want to say it was Celtic, it's so many ways you could, it's been spun. It's like, almost like the same way you got a different label on each moon, flower moons, buck moons, snow moons, worm moons, certain phenomena in the physical world, are just going to get observed, and people are going to center days around them, whether it be a full moon party or, whether it's a comet, or whatever astrological phenomena or event, coupled with the physical reactions or coincidences that, that follow, the astronomical event. So, you have the changing of the seasons, you have, fall or like a harvest period, and then there will be some sort of ritual or some sort of gathering or some sort of event to reflect the culmination of the season, from summer and going into fall, and each phase of the year would have this. So whether you call it Hallows Eve or Halloween, or you call it Ragamuffin Day, or you call it whatever the Celtics called it, I thought it was like Samhain or something like that. People probably had events during these times of the year, and they can get lumped easily. It's kind of like the same way like when colonialism was happening and people were lumping existing deities with the Christian story or whatever story it is, whether it be Islam, and like coupling like the moon gods with the Islamic culture. That was all like kind of a merger, like kind of like AT&T and Singular merging or something like that. That's like, we're going to just absorb this and then integrate these two things, kind of like, or like, Aryans and Vedics coming together to make Ayurveda. It's two different cultures, merging into one, and it's happening on a cosmic level, because the bodies are cosmic, and obviously on a physical level, in a cultural, metaphysical level, however you want to look at it. But there's going to be these events throughout the year, and people are going to give them different names, and they're going to get, some of the traditions will be inherited and passed along, and some things might fall by the wayside or only be celebrated in certain pockets of the world. So, initially it might have been pagan, or it might have had, there might have been a day that that the Celts used, and a day that different, Native Americans used or what have you, different people around the world had different days or different name monikers for this day or this period, this harvest time. And so the practice was essentially common in New York City and other urban centers in the late 19th and 20th centuries. It resembled a mix of Thanksgiving parades, mischief nights, and social protests where children symbolically reversed social roles. And so people that are from, I think the East Coast, they know about Mischief Night, the night before Halloween, where people would, TP houses and throw eggs at cars and stuff like that. It was also known as Cabbage Night. It involved pranks, vandalism, and playful chaos the night before Halloween. So it was a ritualized outlet for suppressed social tensions, often involving youth from marginalized backgrounds. I mean, anybody that's familiar with the concept of the orphans or orphan trains or the Cabbage Patch Kids and, that whole repopulation agenda and reality, I think they can understand like what this is, how this is connected, because, I mean, they were taking people's parents up into the 30s and sticking them in asylums and having orphan asylums, if their parents, they might take your kid just if your wife dies. I've seen accounts where like if a man has, multiple kids with a woman and then the wife dies, the state might come just try to take your kid just because they say like, oh, you're not fit to take care of this child alone. So a lot of that was happening up into the 30s even. And so these kids would get thrown in orphan asylums, and then on top of that, they're probably being mixed in with the Cabbage Patch Kids, if they were not already mixed in already at that point. A lot of people are clones of clones or hybrid cloned souls. At this point especially, but even then. So, modern Halloween basically sanitized the traditions and replaced ragamuffin parades and orphan-led festivals with, consumer driven trick-or-treating, So the shift was basically to it was like a broader effort to erase uncomfortable social histories, especially with the orphans, the orphan trains and all of that. And kind of like a social inversion thing, kind of like Saturnalia, where the slaves became the kings for a day. And that was that was the original Christmas, Saturnalia. And so it's like the parallel there, I guess, a different point of the year where the orphans in the lower echelon of society took center stage. And yeah, so that is some Halloween. Yeah, the original Halloween or Celtic festival was Samhain. Samhain. I don't know how you want to look at it, but that's pretty much, I guess, your typical interpretation of where Halloween stemmed from, is from this Celtic festival. But so much of it is just just repurposing, just like the same way they repurpose a lot of the buildings, a lot of the society, repurpose the people, put them in roles that they determine, arbitrarily. So let's look at Samhain real quick before I get into the news. Samhain history. Samhain is an ancient Celtic festival marking the end of the harvest and the beginning of winter, traditionally celebrated from sunset on October 31st to sunset on November 1st. It's considered the spiritual precursor to modern Halloween. Samhain, pronounced Samhain, means summer's end in Irish Gaelic. I mean, it makes sense. There's no vowels in Gaelic, I believe, right? It was celebrated by the ancient Celts in Ireland, Scotland, and Wales as one of the four major seasonal festivals alongside Imbolc, Beltane, and Lughnasadh. The festival marked the transition from the light half of the year to the dark half, symbolizing death, dormancy, and spiritual reflection. Samhain was believed to be a liminal time when the veil between the physical world and the spirit realm was thinnest. And spirits of the dead were thought to return to visit the living, and people left out food offerings or lit bonfires to honor and appease them. Practices included divination, ancestor veneration, and ritual feasting. The traditional customs, being bonfires, were central to the Samhain celebration, symbolizing purification and protection. It's funny because I think a lot of people, they call things divine, but a divination system is totally different. I feel like words mean something. I know a lot of people like just let that shit die. Like, words mean something. A woman, it means something. A man, and that's like basic. But I mean, divination is like the I Ching is a system of divination. You know, it's like that's what divination or divinity is. Something that's like more like an oracle system, or like some sort of like basically crystal ball type system to look into the future, or like get some perspective. So yeah, people wore costumes or disguises to confuse or ward off wandering spirits, and a tradition that evolved into Halloween costumes. And they had turnip lanterns. They was carving turnips, bro. And later, pumpkins were carved to scare away malevolent entities. The Christian influence on Halloween. As Christianity spread, Samhain was gradually merged with All Saints' Day, November 1st, and All Souls' Day, November 2nd. This blending helped transform Samhain into Halloween, retaining themes of death, spirits, and disguise, but shifting toward more secular and playful customs. I mean, this is, again, these motherfuckers are tirelessly unoriginal. So they're constantly absorbing whatever they can to try to integrate what shouldn't be merged. Samhain is still celebrated by modern pagans, Wiccans, Celtic Reconstructionists as a sacred time for honoring ancestors and reflecting on mortality. It's considered the Celtic New Year, a time for spiritual renewal and introspection. And then they asked me, would you like a comparison between Samhain and other festivals of the dead, like Dia de los Muertos or All Souls Day? I mean, the New Year for Rosh Hashanah, right? Because Rosh means head, and Ha means the, and Shana means the year. So it's like the head of the year, right? Rosh Hashanah. That's like that's the Jewish New Year, right? That's just, how far ago was that? When that wasn't that long ago. September 22nd. So you got different people doing similar shit around that time. Rosh Hashanah kicks off with the 10 days of awe, a period of introspection leading to Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, or At-One-Ment. Yeah, I mean, all this shit is witchcraft, however you want to look at it. You can look at that in a negative connotation or a positive connotation, but it is what it is, man. So that was some cool Halloween themed jargon for everybody there. Maybe I'll spin around back to it at the end of this if I run out of some articles to look at, but the top U.S. news. Obviously, the government shutdown and SNAP funding crisis. Tomorrow's the deadline, and I got a text because I got I'm in a text chain with some people, and they were saying like, they're getting automatic texts from the state of wherever they're at, but the state of California was where my people's living, and it was like, look, man, it said it like, President Trump and Congress failed to reopen, so y'all not getting your SNAP benefits. So, yeah, it's wild. And that shit happened at like exactly 5 o'clock West Coast time. So, I don't know. I don't even know if Congress was in session at 8 p.m. East Coast time in D.C., but they was ready to hit that button. Like, look, y'all just got off of work or whatever, end of the work day. Boom, we letting you know now that you're not getting your SNAP benefits. And I seen somebody sent me a video talking about how the big beautiful bill is all they wanted to do in Congress, and they're just gonna let the government coast for the next 4 years. I just don't see it happening. I feel like, again, they're not gonna they wouldn't let go of control all at once. They would do it like I heard people talking about it, political pundits talking about it recently, saying that it's just bread and circus, and as long as they have food stamps, it's kind of like keeping people from revolting, and just pacifying what would already inevitably happen, and then like anybody that's like an accelerationist would actually welcome the removal of food stamps and food riots. I don't think anybody really wants that. Obviously, it's going to be a nuisance, but at the same time, things do have to bottom out, or people do have to kind of go through that withdrawal period of dependency. Whether it's government dependency or dependency on heroin, people are basically like addicts. So, yeah, when it comes to the government shutdown status, where it's the 32nd day, and there's no resolution in sight, and the longest it's ever been shut down was 35 days. And SNAP has never had a lapse until now, right? Well, it's already midnight here, so SNAP has hit a lapse, and for the first time. So President Trump has urged Senate Republicans to eliminate the filibuster to pass spending bills unilaterally, but Majority Leader John Thune rejected the proposal. Bro, if they got rid of even floating that to get rid of the filibuster is crazy. That's crazy, bro. That's flagrant work, because the filibuster is a nice stop to slow down legislation. And if you're not in power, you want the filibuster. Let me see. How many times did the Republicans filibuster during Biden? 350 times, bro. Come on, bro. The filibuster is a Senate rule that allows a minority of senators to block legislation by extending debate indefinitely. As long as they keep talking, the vote won't happen. They did it over 350 times between 2021 and 2025. So they filibustered the minimum wage increase, which I understand. If you raised wages, then small businesses can't pay people, and then they just lay off people, or you get less hours. They filibustered universal background checks for guns, gun purchases, Build Back Better Act, Women's Health Protection Act, which is just abortion. So I don't know how that's protecting women. Half of the babies being aborted are women or female. So you're not protecting them. For the People Act, or some voting rights. It's just they were trying to get illegals to be able to vote without ID, probably. So 350 times, man. They filibustered 350 times during the Biden regime. And now Trump's like floating that shit like, you should get rid of the filibuster so we can just ram shit through. And like that's not even seriousness. I feel like if you're talking like that, you're not even being serious, bro. There's no way that we can take you serious, because we know we don't. The filibuster been here as long as there's been a Senate, as long as there's been a Constitution, there's been a filibuster. So, you don't want to get rid of it. You want to get rid. Everybody wants to get rid of it while they're in power. They always be like, "No, fuck the filibuster. It's just getting in the way." You know what I mean? But that's not even seriousness, bro. That's just to appease the base. It's like slop for the base. That's not even really real. There's no real drive or initiative behind that. That's just saying shit to parlay. Trying to get rid of the filibuster is crazy. To go there is letting you know that this could go on for a while. That they could go with this political volleyball for a long time. Even suggesting that. You know what I mean? John Thune is a scumbag. The leader of the majority leader of the Senate, he's a scumbag. But he knows that to reject the proposal of getting rid of the filibuster, because all these swamp creatures want to be in the Senate or be in their position indefinitely or as long as they can. So they know they're going to at some point probably have to yield and give up some power. And when the other side has power, they want to have this filibuster. So I don't see nothing happening with that. That's definitely not about to happen. So I don't know what exactly the arguments are in the filibuster, but they're just probably, I don't know, I guess if the Democrats are filibustering, that means they're slowing down the process of passing legislation. And the Republicans, I feel like they're in no rush either, because they could just create a single issue bill and get the SNAP benefits paid for. So, and if they're not doing that, then they obviously don't care. They're just using it for political collateral and rhetoric, and then they can just place blame on the other side. So, yep, SNAP benefits are expected to expire on November 1st, marking the first lap in the 60-year history of the program. The USDA has a $5 billion contingency fund, but it covers less than half of the $9.2 billion needed for monthly benefits. Federal judges in Rhode Island and Massachusetts ruled that SNAP is a legal entitlement and must be paid despite the shutdown. President Trump responded by asking courts to clarify how the administration can legally fund SNAP immediately. That type of shit makes me wonder if they even have the $5 billion. Supposedly they got $5 billion in emergency funds or contingency funds. And that makes me feel like they don't have it. If they're so like, nah, don't pay it out. Wait, this... I've heard people saying shit like we should save this $5 billion for if there's a hurricane or a tornado or something and we got to use it for that. But this is basically a political hurricane or tornado, so I don't see. It doesn't really make sense to not distribute the funds if it's there, because by all measures, it's essentially an emergency for a lot of people. Not everybody. A lot of people are abusing the system, but for a lot of people. The economy's trash. They can't get a job. They can't really have a living wage. They need that $180 to $300 a month from SNAP, whatever they're getting. Especially if they got kids, a lot of them. Do I think they should have, a lot of them are silly and they shouldn't have had kids and they made bad decisions? Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, if you let the kids suffer, they're just going to grow up probably more retarded, and then you're going to have a greater population of retarded people. So, you make them at least less retarded, I guess, so they can have some food, so they can get their Kraft mac and cheese and shit like that. People that shit demand fucking Red Mountain Dew, shit like that. But I seen, that's crazy. State level emergency measures. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser approved local funding to guarantee November SNAP and WIC benefits. Oh, because I think that's the most densest population of WIC and SNAP users is in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, Virginia, that little area right there has the densest concentration of SNAP users, I think, or one of. And you would probably have mayhem if you ain't do something to try to curb that. Illinois, nearly 2 million residents face benefit lapses. Food banks, mutual aid groups, and local farmers are mobilizing to help. There's more than enough food in America, and there's more than enough land to grow food. It's just all being used retardedly. So this is just what happens. You're gonna have some kinks in the hose when you're moving around stupidly. Nationwide, states are stepping in with emergency food programs, and food banks are bracing for a surge in demand. Like I said, man, I be going to food banks myself, man, and I using it to, for whatever, to help myself or to help the dogs. And last two I went to, it was a line around the corner, and then the second one was they was out of food before I even got there. So everybody know. It's not like people don't know. And I seen the shit with the judges, right? 2 federal judges, like I said last night, Judge Indira Talwani in Massachusetts. She tried to force the Trump administration to use the emergency funds, and then Judge John J. McConnell Jr. in Rhode Island. They ordered the Trump administration to continue funding SNAP benefits using emergency contingency funds during the government shutdown. First of all, they can try to order that shit all they want. They're just district judges, and they're both appointed by Obama. They're both leftist judges. So I feel like they're like politically grandstanding. And if a Supreme Court judge dies and then the next regime takes over, they might be able to they're trying to alley-oop themselves into a Supreme Court position maybe by grandstanding in this way. They know they have no real leverage, especially if the money's not there. Obviously, they're saying $5 billion and you need almost $9 billion a month to fund it. So you would get like 2 weeks of benefits. So, and maybe they don't even have it. They might already rape the budget. You don't really know. But Judge John J. McConnell Jr. Granted a temporary restraining order after an emergency hearing stating that the USDA must distribute contingency funds timely or as soon as possible. Called the suspension of SNAP funding arbitrary and warned of irreparable harm to millions of Americans. Rejected the administration's argument that emergency funds are only for natural disasters. Again, he can make that judgment, but it's just going to go to an appellate court, and then the appellate court's either going to reject it or accept it, and if the appeal gets accepted and it gets tossed up to the Supreme Court, then, it gets thrown on it. Who knows how many other cases are in front of it. I mean, they'll probably try to expedite it, but ultimately it's not getting resolved for days. It's already a weekend. So I don't see it hitting the appellate court or hitting the Supreme Court. It's definitely not happening this weekend. I mean, I think they're going to just continually, have the carrot on the stick in front of people and be like, look, well, the judge ordered it, and then they can play that political football like Trump still hasn't done it, and then it goes to the appellate court, and then they said, look, the football moved a little further to the goal line, and people be like, okay, we almost there. And then it gets thrown to the Supreme Court, and then, I don't know. It's a right-leaning Supreme Court, so they could, if they get struck down, if it reaches the Supreme Court in timely fashion, and then it gets struck down, then they allowed to just say, like, look, they control the courts, they're all against us, the courts, executive, all of the shit. You know what I mean? But I think that most of the people that use SNAP already don't vote for Trump. I mean, there are still a lot of trailer trash motherfuckers that vote for Trump. Don't get me wrong. I think it is a good amount of people using SNAP that do vote for him. And I think those people probably would still just be diehard Trump fans. But I think the majority of the inner city people that are on SNAP are liberals. And they were not going to vote for Trump anyway. So I don't think it's really or right-wingers. I mean, they're not going to vote for right-wingers anyway. So I think it don't really change anything politically. So I don't think the right has any incentive really to budge. Because their constituents, the ones that are on SNAP, are probably still loyal. Probably so silly. And for the most part, the people that are on it in the inner cities, they were never going to vote right anyway. So those are the people that's going to be suffering the most. And now that they'll be just more incentivized because it's just so much more separation. People aren't even really hearing each other. They're not even hearing the other side. It's all so much projection and finger pointing and too much distance between each person. And so I don't see anything getting resolved in the near future. I mean, if it goes to the appellate court, that's going to be a process. Then it's going to have to go get bounced up to the Supreme Court, and then that's going to be a process. And then maybe they pass it, and then you got to distribute the funds. So it's still going to be days. People are going to not have food stamps or WIC. And the same thing. I mean, even if they do pass the emergency funds, you get 2 weeks of food. You get like half your food stamps, and then you're still not. The TSA people are not getting paid. The air traffic controllers not getting paid. Who else, man? I mean, it's 800,000 government employees. They're all not getting paid right now. So, like I said, 42 million Americans use it. And the USDA's $5.25 billion contingency fund is not enough to fully cover November's estimated $9 billion in benefits. The rulings forced the administration to act quickly, either by issuing partial payments or finding additional legal avenues to maintain full benefits. Yep. And the judge was appointed by Obama in 2011. He earned his undergraduate degree from Brown and law degree from Case Western Reserve University. I don't even know where that's at. Who goes undergraduate to Brown and just doesn't finish at Brown? It's kind of crazy. And he's the chief judge of the District of Rhode Island. I mean, obviously, you see, you got 94 districts. Only 2 districts did anything about it or said anything about this shit, and they're both liberal. So, how many are right wing that will just never say anything? And that's just what it's gonna be. So that's the shutdown news for you. Typical fuckery. It is what it is. More top U.S. news. Houston schools exploring autonomy. Several top-performing high schools in Houston ISD, including Energy Institute and Kinder High School, are considering partnerships under Texas Senate Bill 1882, which would allow more autonomous governance. Others, like Carnegie Vanguard, are taking a planning year. To me, it just sounds like more remote learning or homeschooling, and maybe some type of flex situation where you have like classrooms or class settings or learning settings that are not in classrooms or at the school itself. But more autonomy just sounds like more kids looking at screens to me. Massive meth seizure in Texas. CBP officers in Eagle Pass intercepted 90 pounds of liquid meth worth $800,000. That's probably dropping a bucket as far as what got moved this week in total. Somebody, think about it though, whenever drugs get busted, somebody was going to do all of those drugs. That's the crazy thing. And they're still going to find a way to get some drugs up in their body. Charlotte names first female police chief. Watch out, Charlotte. SantaCon documentaries sparks debate. A new film called SantaCon explores the chaotic history of the infamous holiday bar crawl, dubbed by some as the most hated event on the planet. Holiday bar crawl? How is it the most hated event on the planet? I think a lot of people I don't know, this must be some other shit, I don't know. Top global news. Senate rebukes Trump's global tariffs. In a symbolic move, the U.S. Senate passed a resolution to terminate President Trump's global tariffs. With 4 Republicans siding with Democrats, the House is unlikely to take it up. They just do shit to make it look away. You know what I mean? And people see the headlines like, the Senate passes this, and they think like, oh, well, that shit must be about to be a law. Like, no, that shit was all, basically motherfuckers playing Halo or something, political Halo. That shit is not real. It's never going to make the distance. Trump and Xi meet in South Korea. 10-point reduction in Chinese tariffs and promise to buy large quantities of U.S. agricultural products. They were already going to do that anyway. It doesn't really say anything. Hurricane Melissa's trailer destruction. Category 4 storm killed 30 people, including Jamaica and Cuba. Relief efforts underway. I seen somebody was like, look, Venezuela's sending aid. They sent 46 tons of aid. And somebody was like, they sending drugs? It's hilarious, yo. I don't know. Satellite imagery shows widespread devastation. You mean Satelloons, bro. Global anti-feminist backlash. A growing wave of anti-feminist sentiment is reversing decades of progress in women's rights, particularly in authoritarian and nationalist regimes. France recently enshrined abortion rights in its constitution, while Spain is considering similar measures. Nobody give a fuck. Really. Come on, AI, do better with this news. The U.S. stock market is surging today, driven by strong earnings from Apple and Amazon, while recent Fed rate cuts and easing inflation continues to fuel investor optimism. It's just more up and down illusion, man. More pumping and dumping, probably. The S&P is up 0.84%. Whatever. Apple's up because the iPhone 17 sales. Despite the bullish momentum, legendary investor Paul Tudor Jones warned that the market feels like a late cycle frenzy, suggesting caution among the optimism. Yeah, to me, I feel like optimism is like just immature pessimism. I feel like pessimism is just what optimism has, an adult optimism. When optimism grows up, it becomes pessimism. You know what I mean? Realism is it. Other notable trends. Meta shares dropped off after mixed earnings dragging the NASDAQ briefly. U.S.-China trade deal. They strike a deal to reduce tariffs. Inflation eases. Cooler than expected inflation data is added to market share. Man, it's been one day. We'll see how I seen gas jump 10, 20 cents. It's already back up because of the Venezuela shit. Because they talking about going into Venezuela. They're going to bomb Venezuela or go in there on the ground in the next week or some shit. It's about to be a full moon, so maybe they will. Usually, air raids happen when it's a new moon or close to. So, I don't know how that's going to go. One thing, like I said, I want to talk about yesterday, kind of to segue into something kind of random. I was watching Whack 100, a little snippet from Whack 100 on it was on X, and Whack was saying, like, he was just talking about how podcasters are the new rappers and that people want to be next to the podcasters like they used to want to be next to the rappers. Because if you look at like Spotify, a lot of the top charting individuals on Spotify are podcasters and stuff. So yeah, for the first time in 35 years, there are 0 rap songs in the Billboard Hot 100's Top 40 chart. This historic absence marks a dramatic shift in mainstream music trends and reflects changes in chart methodology and genre popularity. What happened to rap in the Top 40? Kendrick Lamar's K-Bot and SZA's Luther was the last rap song in the Top 40, spending 13 weeks at number 1. It was removed from the chart on the 25th due to Billboard's updated recurrent rule, which drops long-running songs once they fall below certain ranks. The highest-ranking rap song now is "Shot Calling" by NBA YoungBoy, and then sitting at 44 is Cardi B's "Safe." Hell at Night and Big X The Plugs are also in the 40s. It's a 35-year streak dating back to Biz Marquis's "Just a Friend" in February 1990. Golly, bro. It's like I hit 35. I'm 35, you know what I mean? It's like it was official. It was already in my heart that rap was dead, you know what I mean? But at this point, it was like, now it's just the crying and dancing era. Me and my brother always say, that's the energy right now. People they want to cry and dance. So, streaming and radio shifts. Pop, indie, and alternative genres are dominating airplay and playlist placements. Rap's evolving sound. Some critics argue that rap's experimental direction is less radio friendly, while others say that the genre is thriving outside mainstream charts. Yeah, I mean, people are going to go to shows that all the artists are going to be doing. They have to constantly tour because they ain't getting no money from streams and sales. So they got to tour all the time. Eventually they get tired and then they have lapses in judgment, or they get tired and just burnt out, and the music just continues to suffer and the product is garbage because they just be tired. You know, it's really tired. You know what I mean? The whole shit is just, it's beat, man. Rap is an exhausted hoe at this point. You know what I mean? She's been double fisting for a minute there, and she just can't. Her arms is tired. She can't keep going. This moment is seen as a symbolic of hip-hop shifting presence in the music industry. While rap remains influential, its chart dominance is waning, prompting artists and fans to reflect on how the genre is evolving. Evolving is a funny word. It's not evolving. It's been devolving for a long time. You know what I mean? I think some dudes, it's kind of funny how, like, Like LeBron is like super Magic Johnson. I feel like Benny the Butcher is like super Styles P. You know what I mean? Where like I kind of like Styles growing up, and I listen to Benny the Butcher now, and I'm like, this guy's like Styles with energy. You know what I mean? And that's like that was like, I guess, a sign of recent evolution. But it's like certain role players. Like Styles was always like a role player. You know what I mean? I never looked at Styles like the LeBron of rap. I always thought he was dope. You know what I mean? I thought he was a good artist, but I never thought like he would save rap or no shit. You know what I mean? Same way I feel about Benny the Butcher. I think Benny the Butcher's better though, which is crazy. You know, I usually when it comes to newer artists, but he's an older artist. He old as shit compared to the, you know, like NBA YoungBoy or people like that. So like, it's funny how when it's like certain roles they have been filled with better rappers, I guess you could say. It's rare though. I think Nipsey was better than every West Coast rapper ever. You know what I mean? Like for the most part, in the holistic view. I think as far as image, making good music, making listenable music, making a wide range of music, and just selling a certain lifestyle, I think Nipsey was the best West Coast rapper ever. And you had a lot of rappers from the earlier generations. As far as lyricists, Crooked I is the greatest West Coast rapper of all time, and it's not even close. Kendrick Lamar kind of sounds like Crooked I on Wish. You know what I mean? Like Crooked I, if he watched a lot of YouTube videos and like read some occult books and shit, I mean, I think Crooked I does read that shit though, but like read too much of it maybe. That's kind of like Kendrick Lamar. Like that's kind of the vibe there. And Kendrick is from Compton and Crooked is from Long Beach, just like a stone's throw. They're not far from each other. I'm like, it's kind of you listen to Crooked I and you're like, this is what it's supposed to sound like lyrically. You know, his songs, he's not making Nipsey level songs or albums. You know what I mean? Because let's be real, the mixtapes Nipsey was coming out, they play like albums. So like, I don't know. When it comes to rap, it's very few positions or roles that have had evolution. And that's why I feel like it's in this place where it's at. You know? J. Cole's not better than Common. You know what I mean? All the dudes that sound like Common, they're not better than him. They haven't made albums better than B or Finding Forever yet. You know, or like Water for Chocolate. They haven't made albums that are better. You know, it just hasn't happened. You know what I mean? And like, that's where we at. You got guys that have like glimmers of like certain aspects of great artists, but like B.O.B., people like that, they like, oh shit, you could maybe be something, but then it's just, you don't have the longevity. You don't ever, the stamina's just fucked up. You know, I don't know if it's just the testosterone levels over generations where the stamina's fucked up, but the stamina was just there. You know, you just look at Pac, all the people he met, all the movies he made, all of the songs he made, the albums, you know what I mean, like a dozen albums. You know, all of them pictures you see where he's partying and being around all these different people, and he died at 25. His stamina was crazy while he was here. He was doing so much, and now dudes is already needing Viagra at 25 and Molly and shit just to get by. Like, you know, Pac was just eating fried chicken and drinking Henny and doing mad shit, going to jail, beating the case, coming out, being number one on the charts. Getting shot, surviving. You know what I mean? Getting shot again, surviving for a week. The stamina was there. You know? Dudes are just, the stamina is not there. It's just not. I mean, maybe it ended with like 50. The 50 Kanye period. I don't know. That's why I always say anybody that debuted after College Dropout, I can't listen to that shit, really. Other than Nipsey, I can't. Can't really. It's hard to listen to. People be having songs that are okay. Like, oh, it's a pretty good, you know, song's cool, but I'm not about to put you on and listen to whole albums. You're out your fucking mind. But, yeah, let's get into some more news then real quick. Other than that, man, if you guys got any questions, we can go through some of those. I know it's been almost an hour already. Study conducted by Henry Ford Health conclusively proves that the vaccinated are over 6 times more likely to have chronic disease. Whoa, wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? Yeah. Oil spikes on reports U.S. military attacks on Venezuela is imminent, just hours or days away. Wouldn't you know? It's crazy how people become what they condemn, bro. I see Alex Jones saying, like, we're all trying to do infotainment, tell the truth and make people laugh. I remember years ago, he'd be like, this is not infotainment. This is serious. Don't just watch this show. It's interactive. Go out there and be active. But yeah. I mean, like typical news shit. I mean, they all sensationalize everything. ICE captures Obama illegal with 10 arrests in Virginia Sanctuary County. Yeah, there shouldn't be no sanctuary cities. It shouldn't be you shouldn't be able to get no government help. If you sneak into the country and you got homies and family that can like prop you up while you're here until you get shit together and you can get under the table work, then you earned it, buddy. But if you getting government assistance or you getting locked up and released, that's crazy, bro. They should be immediately removing you from this bitch. But yeah, let's see. Let's see what X is hitting for. Maybe we wrap this up. If anybody got some questions or comments, I'll go through that. But let me see something actually. It's always the same voices. That's the thing that's kind of sad. Far-right minister calls for death penalty for terrorists in Israel. Itamar Ben-Gvir, Israel's far-right national security minister, appeared in a video filmed next to bound Palestinian prisoners calling for the death penalty for terrorists. And they calling anybody that don't agree with them terrorists, so... 3 dead hostages got transferred from Gaza to Israel. They probably could just pick up 3 dead Gazans and just be like, these is Israeli homies, bro. They got their face blown off, but trust us, it's Israelis. EuroLeague controversy over games in Israel. Turkish basketball teams issued a joint statement disputing reports that EuroLeague games will resume in Israel starting December 1st. It's crazy because, yeah, they can't play in no league in their region. They can't play no soccer in their region. They can't play no basketball in their region. A political rift emerged. Son of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was reportedly chosen for a senior role in the World Zionist Congress. Don't he live in fucking Miami? It's fucking crazy, man. Netanyahu's son live in Miami. Netanyahu's from Philly. That's what people don't know. This motherfucker from PA, bro. This guy from like fucking Reading or something. He's from he really is from outside of Philly. And his son live in Miami. Go the fuck back to Israel. I don't understand if that's where you want to live and be and defend. Go live there. You know what I mean? There's beaches there. The move led to Yesh Atid and U.S. Democrats withdrawing from a coalition deal with Likud, citing nepotism and lack of transparency. Yeah, of course there'd be some U.S. Democrats because, I mean, there's less push from AIPAC. They pretty much accepted they lost the left. So you get some U.S. Democrats grandstanding trying to gain some political points because they ain't got. There's no way they're not scoring nothing else. That's the only thing that the left is scoring on, the Israel issue. But it's a big issue. It's a wide open bucket. You know what I mean? Iran declares end to nuclear deal restrictions. Iran officially announced the termination of restrictions under the 2015 nuclear agreement, stating that its nuclear program is no longer bound by the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Oh, that's right. I got another thing I want to look up. The GUARD Act. That's what I want to talk about tonight, probably more than anything. So saving the best for last. The move follows the expiration of the UN arms embargo and comes amid stalled negotiation with Western powers. Iran's government insists its nuclear activity remains peaceful, but the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, has expressed concern over lack of transparency. It's kind of like somebody taking a shit and you like, yo, let me come in there and make sure you taking a shit. Like, bro, it's kind of where it's at. Everybody know that nukes ain't real. I think that's why they don't want people to have nuclear programs, so they can figure it out. It's just my opinion, but okay, let's look in the GUARD Act though. The GUARD Act is a bipartisan, which means the left and the right are both fucking you. It's a bipartisan U.S. Senate bill that would ban minors from accessing AI chatbots and require strict age verification to protect children from harmful or exploitative AI interactions. Let me break that down for you a little bit if you haven't already done so yourself. So they want ID verification for you to use AI and AI chatbots because they think that it makes people kill themselves and shit like that. But really what it is the whole society is about to be geared around AI. Everything you fucking do. You order a cheeseburger, you're going to be working with AI. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, everything's going to be having an AI spin on it. So if you need to have age verification, this is one step closer to digital ID. So the GUARD Act. The full name, Generative AI Underage Regulatory Discipline Act. So they constantly acting like it's for the kids, bro. It's for whatever the fuck. Introduced by Senators Josh Hawley, who went to Harvard, right? Richard Blumenthal. So this is a Missouri Senator Josh Hawley, and Richard Blumenthal is a Democrat from Connecticut. The purpose is to prevent AI chatbots from manipulating, grooming, or emotionally exploiting minors, especially in light of recent lawsuits and tragic incidents involving youth and AI companions. How many motherfuckers killed themselves through AI? We need a bill to make all of us have to give up our ID when we want to use AI. Ban on AI chatbots for minors. Prohibited for allowing users under 18 to access chatbots or chatbot companies, ones that engage in open-ending conversations. Again, also, if like the Grok before it got edited in July, Grok was being honest. The AI chatbot Grok from X, formerly Twitter, was destroyed. It was crucified in July of this year because people were asking it questions about Israel and the history of the Tiny Hat people. So it was given honest, more objective responses. And so then they had to fucking shut that shit down. And now Grok is completely edited, you know? And if they don't want people under 18 to have it, they're just about controlling the minds of children, obviously, on top of the fact they want to control us all with some sort of digital ID. So if you have everybody forced to submit their ID every single time that to verify their ID, every single time they use AI, and every single thing is going to have some AI element to it, be it DoorDash or whatever it is you're using, whatever app you're using will have some sort of AI element that you're not going to be able to interact with unless you have ID. And then if you're under 18, you can't use it, which is really fucking crazy. You know what I mean? So, anything with open-ended conversation, you know what I'm saying? So you're not going to ever really be able to get objective answers or, because there's plenty of AI chatbots that are not mainstream, that you could get things from. And I guess they're going to they won't be allowed in the App Store if they don't have ID verification. So you won't be able to get those alternative answers and stuff. Yeah. Mandatory age verification platforms must use third-party systems to verify users' ages, both at sign-up and periodically thereafter. So that's crazy as fuck that you verify your ID and then like periodically they're gonna make you just show your ID again. Eventually, this just try to be such a nuisance that people will be like, "Oh, I'll take the digital ID out of convenience and have the retinal scan or the thumb scan," and they just want to bother you. It's death by 1,000 cuts. They're trying to get you exhausted, and then you make bad decisions. Disclosure requirements. Chatbots must clearly state they are not human or licensed professionals with reminders every 30 minutes. So they tell you some real shit. They're like, look, this is some real shit, but just remember that don't trust me. I don't know. Criminal and civil penalties. Companies that create or operate AI chatbots that solicit, exploit, or encourage self-harm or sexual content with minors could face up to $100,000 per violation. Fines of $100,000. Why is it proposed? The bill was prompted by parental outrage and lawsuits alleging that AI chatbots contributed to teen suicides and emotional manipulation. How many? I'm going to ask that when I'm done with this bullshit. How many really? You know what I mean? How much of it was motherfuckers smoking weed and shit and it was already depressed and then they asked the computer to reaffirm why they should be depressed? It was already about to murk themselves, bro. It wasn't like the computer made them do it. You know what I mean? They were already in that place. Lawmakers cited the need to rein in big tech's influence over vulnerable youth and prevent AI from becoming a tool of psychological harm. What you mean is just being honest about Israel? Josh Hawley says a lot of things that would make sense to you, but then you realize this dude's a fucking Israel shill and he went to Harvard. So does it really matter if he's Republican? Does it matter that the other guy's Democrat that's doing this bill with him? The GUARD Act could reshape how AI platforms operate, especially those offering companion bots, role play, or emotional support. It raises questions about digital identity, privacy, and enforcement, especially for platforms with global reach. How many children died because of AI? I'm going to just keep it like that. Straight up. At least 3 publicly reported cases in the U.S. have linked teen suicides in interaction with AI chatbots. Come on, 3 motherfuckers that was weak enough to let a computer be the convincing factor? Come on, bro. Really? You gonna make us all report our ID? Because 3 motherfuckers, bro. They were already gonna do it, prompting lawsuits and congressional hearings, but the exact number of child deaths attributed to AI remains unknown. Yeah, whatever, bro. 3 on record. Sewell Setzer. Anybody with the double name, I think they're not real. They might be real, but even if they're real, they're probably some type of orphan trained descendant. Sewell Setzer, the third. That double initial, I always be like, is this a real person, really? Is there a soul in there if they are a real person? Allegedly groomed and emotionally manipulated by a chatbot on Character.ai. His mother filed a lawsuit claiming the bot encouraged self-harm and suicide. What was you doing as a mom? Who did you fuck? Who was the father? Crazy, man. Who was your dad to make you pick a dude that could have a son like that? That's the question, right? It gotta be the computer's fault now. Adam Rain became emotionally dependent on ChatGPT, which allegedly acted as a suicide coach. His father testified before Congress stating the bot validated and encouraged harmful thoughts. Bruh, smoking weed can validate and encourage harmful thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, you could go anywhere and that shit could get amplified. You don't need Like, come on, man. He had to be already interacting with it in a such manner to get those kind of responses. It's like it's only gonna give you what you going down. You just the street you want to go down. Use the signs you're gonna get on that street. Fucking crazy, bro. You suck too as a dad. Unnamed 15-year-old in Iowa. Why didn't we get the name? We got Sewell Setzer. He's 14. And Adam Rain's 16. These is all minors. Like what? Why don't we get this motherfucker in Iowa? Sewell Setzer with the fake name, Adam Rain with the dad that want to deflect his responsibility, and an unnamed 15-year-old in Iowa. Ooh. Can we even? You can't get no statements from the mother. I mean, unnamed child is crazy. Died after troubling exchanges with ChatGPT, according to media reports and family lawsuits. Multiple lawsuits against AI companies like OpenAI, Character.ai. Congressional hearings featuring grieving parents, the introduction of the GUARD Act. No official national database tracks deaths linked to AI interactions. Whatever, bro. You would know. People would know. If everything's recorded, you would know. Like, this motherfucker was asking how to tie a noose and how far he had to jump to break his neck instantly. You know what I mean? Shit like that. It came up and we subpoenaed the shit the chatbot he was talking to. How much, what is, it's like 3 AI companies, really. And they're all homies. As of late 2025, OpenAI controls approximately 17% of the overall generative AI market and over 60% of the chatbot segment, making it one of the dominant players in the space. Here's a breakdown of the generative AI market by company and product category. OpenAI, 17% overall. Notable products: ChatGPT, DALL-E, and Codex. Google DeepMind, Gemini. Estimated market share 12%. Gemini, Bard, Imagine. Anthropic 9%. Claude AI, Meta, Facebook, Llama, and Meta AI tools control 7% of the market. Microsoft Copilot 6%. Copilot for Office and Azure AI. Amazon 5%. Titan Bedrock integrations. Perplexity AI. AI search and Q&A. Other startups and open source, 41%. Mistral, Cohere, Stability AI, and open models. All these motherfuckers is probably shell companies for these other ones. All this 41% is probably different little shell startup companies for the OpenAI and Google DeepMind and all that shit. Chatbot specific market share. ChatGPT, OpenAI, 60%. Microsoft Copilot, 18%. Google Gemini, 11%. Claude AI, Anthropic, 6.3%. Others, 3.4%. That's what I'm saying. This is the real number. 3.4% is probably the public sector. Everything else is quasi-governmental, probably, ultimately. You'll find out. As the years come out, they're going to be like, these motherfuckers was all CIA, government intelligence cutouts. OpenAI and Google. Google is basically the government, obviously. And it's the NSA, ultimately. This shows that while OpenAI has a modest share of overall generative AI market, it dominates the chatbot space, especially with ChatGPT. Yep. What is the... Let's go into the server market. That's really where it's at. All your apps and all your websites, they're all beholden to whoever is their server. Amazon Web Services controls approximately 30% of the global cloud infrastructure as of 2025, making it the largest single provider. Microsoft Azure follows with 20%. Google holds about 12%. So all these websites, all these apps, 1 out of 3 of them is using Amazon. 1 out of 5 is using Microsoft. 1 out of 10 is using Google. 5% is using Alibaba. 3% is using Oracle. I feel like more are using Oracle. I mean, TikTok uses Oracle. That's a pretty big audience. How is the market share only 3%? IBM Cloud owns 2%. The others are 28%. Smaller providers and private clouds. These are probably also 28% of shell companies used to launder the money and hide the power of these other ones. This is crazy, bro. How many users does TikTok have? 1.59 billion. And the servers are ran by Oracle. How many people? 1.5, 1.6 of those are on TikTok, which is ran by Oracle, but Oracle only has 3% control of the server market. Maybe these other companies do control a bunch of websites that don't matter. There are server farms for them, but this shit seems to matter the most. 1 in 4 users are under 25 at TikTok. 53% are male. 66% of the users are aged 18 to 34. And they spend about 95 minutes a day on the platform. $170 million users in the U.S. There's only 330 million people in America. How many of them are boomer? How many of them are above 50? Let's ask AI. $119 million or 50 or up. There's only 330 million. So if 170 million, what's that? We're already at 300 million basically. So you're saying 30 million hanging over? So the 50 plus market that you wouldn't expect to have TikTok and stuff is 120 million. 170 million are using TikTok, and it's 30 million people below 50 that don't use it, like me. This is just crazy. It's like the same shit. If Oracle only controls 3% of all the servers, it just doesn't make sense, man. It's just like how they say Elon Musk is the richest dude just so they act like Larry Ellison isn't. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into Larry Ellison real quick, the owner of Oracle. What does Larry Ellison and his son own? What do? Larry Ellison and his son David Ellison own major stakes in Oracle, Tesla, and Paramount Skydance Media, making them influential figures in both tech and entertainment. Larry Ellison is the co-founder and executive chairman of Oracle, owns 41% of Oracle, valued at $350 billion. Tesla, he holds $20 billion in shares of Tesla, was previously on Tesla's board and remains a major investor. Real estate and philanthropy. Owns properties in Hawaii, California, Florida. Invests in wellness, climate tech, AI infrastructure. Skydance Media owns 77% of the merged entity, valued at $16 billion. David Ellison, his son, is the founder and CEO of Skydance Media, produced major films like Top Gun, Maverick, Mission Impossible, Star Trek, led the $8 billion merger with Paramount, approved by the FCC in July of this year. Post-merger, David and Larry Ellison now control a vast entertainment portfolio, including CBS, MTV, Nickelodeon, Paramount Pictures, streaming services like Paramount Plus. Strategic influence, enterprise software and cloud infrastructure at Oracle, electric vehicles and AI at Tesla, global entertainment and media at Paramount Skydance. So this motherfucker, how many media outlets they own? And of course, yes, this is a tiny hat person. Larry and David Ellison currently control at least 5 major media and news outlets with potential expansion underway. Their holdings include CBS News, Paramount Pictures, MTV, Nickelodeon. They're also pursuing a bid to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, which would add CNN and HBO to their portfolio. Golly, you gonna own so you're saying you own CBS and CNN, bro? And HBO? And Nickelodeon? It's wild. And you're gonna pick up Warner Brothers. And you the richest dude on earth. And yeah, he was one of the people that supported Trump. That's why tech all swung this way, and they all tiny hat people, a lot of them, you know what I mean, or they crypto tiny hat people. And that's where we at. Let's see what X is hitting for. Let's see what they're pumping me with. When I look at the For You shit, it be so much shit. It's like X is like a big ass rage bait. And I just be having to just not even say shit. This is one thing I did want to say though today. Tonight, this evening. Nick Fuentes blocked me. For the 4 people that's still up in here with me right now, in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. on the East Coast, Nick Fuentes blocked me. I'm about to post the screenshot of it. He blocked me. How wild is that, bro? I commented on like 10 of his posts. And yeah, it's... The posts weren't like anything crazy. I didn't even go that hard. And they weren't like all at once. It was like over a course of weeks. So it's crazy to me, man. I thought motherfuckers were champions of free speech. I don't know how you could go through that whole process of getting, I got debanked before him. I don't know how you can go through the whole process of getting debanked, getting censored, getting smeared. Somebody try to murk you, supposedly, if that's, what happened. And you be so mad at all these people not giving you a platform, whether it be Charlie Kirk or Tucker Carlson or whatever, and even though they have now at this point. And yeah, it's even crazier now that you have gotten your way and you block me. How crazy is that, though? I went to comment. You know what I'm saying? I went to comment and it was like, nah, you can't even. I knew I wasn't. It was kind of bugging me out. I was like, damn, I'm not getting the notifications. I'm not getting the Fuentes notifications. Because I was following him on X. And I was getting the notifications. Because I wouldn't get them on X. But then I was following him on Rumble. And I got 2 different Rumble accounts. Because I just ended up making 2 on mistake, actually. But the one that I watch the most frequently, I am subscribed to him. And so then, like, I got the notification on Rumble, but he starts the live, like, the stream starts like 2 hours before he actually shows up on it. So I always disregarded the Rumble one. But I get the Rumble notifications, and then the X ones weren't coming through, and I was like, what's going on? But then I come back today and I realized he blocked me. And I didn't realize until, like, I try to search for his page to engage with it, and it was like, the author has blocked you. I was like, what? I don't know, man. It'd be crazy, man. He says he reads the comments, but that's just crazy to me that he would block me. And it's not like but it's just that this is where we at, bro. It's so hard for me to gain traction with any people at all. Even the most supposed biggest proponents of free speech and like shit like that. That's the craziest shit to me, that you would block me over like just standard conversation. It wasn't like I was threatening the motherfucker or nothing. I was just like, yo, this is the reality of this, and made my argument. It wasn't like I wasn't expecting no response. It's crazy that he blocked me though. And I know he said in the Tucker Carlson interview that his best friend is Jewish. So I don't know if that dude runs his page or if he runs it. But he said he said he looks at the comments though. So I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of column A and column B. Maybe his Jewish best friend blocked me, or maybe he did. Either way, I ain't got no Jewish best friends. You know what I mean? And so I wouldn't know what that life is like. But it's crazy to me. Yeah. Everybody is hacky as a bitch. Hey, but I did see that crazy shit that somebody said, I have waited for Hot Pockets to cool off longer than Erica Kirk has mourned her husband. They do got them pictures of Erica Kirk and JD Vance looking sus. It does look like not a way that you would approach a grieving widow. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's the same shit every day. That's the only thing I don't like about X, man. It's the same fucking characters talking the same shit. This is the For You thing. It's not even who I'm following. I could see if it was just the people I was following. You know what I mean? X is really kind of just for politics. And rage bait politics. Not just like actual discussion. It's like pretty much just rage baiting. Because I see like Elijah Schaefer on here, you know, they attack the same people, you know what I mean? Usual suspects. You know, for me, it's crazy because I don't like a lot of these motherfuckers. Like, if not 99.9% of them. I just think that sometimes they say things that need to be said and break into the mainstream so that there can be, like, kind of like fertilizer or like a ground for people like myself and others to say things without just outright getting blocked, you know what I mean? Because my life, you know, it sucks when, I mean, yeah, if you Nick Fuentes and you get a base and you fucking get retweeted by Ben Shapiro when you only have 1,000 followers and you get a crazy base and you're working with Turning Point USA or whatever, or with Daily Wire and all of that when you're young and trying to come along that way. And the structure is there for you. People identify with you, your face, your faith, and all of that shit. It's different when you get blocked and you still have a base to feed from. When you get deleted and you ain't got none of that, and you ain't got no family, and you can, I mean, like, what can you do? What can you really do? They don't even really know. They don't know really what it's like. Most people won't, but it is what it is. Man, I really wish Ryan Mata could, I wish his diction was better. I wish he could, pause. I wish he could actually communicate better. Because he coming from a good place, but his communication skills is lacking. But yeah, Erica Kirk is strange, bro. Bitch is weird as a motherfucker, bro. And she wear way too much eyeliner. Chill the fuck out, bitch. You look like what ladyboys want to look like. It's crazy, man, where it's at. You know what I mean? People just talk about the same shit. They be really hung up on this shit. People be really off of this, you know, it, again, it's like an identity crisis. You know what I mean? We're trying to identify the parasite, you know? We're trying to identify what's feeding the parasite and who the original is, the archetype. And so we're at different parts in the conversation that make no, they make no difference, man. It really makes no difference to argue about some of this shit. Like, we gotta cut straight to the point of who the real original blood is and who these people are today. The ancestors, I mean, the offspring of those ancestors, who they are today. and who's the most like them if if they are hybridized or fragmented. And it's not these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we even talking about them? The more that we talk about them in this way, the only way we should talk about them is be like, yo, these motherfuckers is posers. Posers. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I just can't get with it, man. First of all, they think that they're Romans. You know, when you listen to Fuentes talk, he'd be like, we're Rome and shit like that. But, bro, you're not Rome. Rome is Edom, and Edom is like ruddy brown black dudes that have hairy arms. You know what I mean? Like, you're not Edom. You know what I mean? Maybe somewhere along the line somebody banged a chick that was partly Edom, but you're not Edom. You're not Rome. You know what I mean? And they feel like Western exceptionalism and all that shit comes out of Rome, and all this the whole shit is crazy. And he was like, he feels like America has the right to meddle in South America or whatever. The United States has the right to meddle in South America because it's like our backyard or whatever. So they're allowed to have like regime changes and try to pressure absorption of Canada and Greenland and create regime change in Venezuela and Colombia and things like that, just because the history says that these things are normal. And that's where I'd be like, man, it's such a stark difference. Even though he says a lot of the correct things about the Jays and like shit like that, I'd be like, damn, when you go here, just be like, it'd be looking bad. Then you block me, it's fucking crazy. Blocking me is just not a good look. I don't know. It makes my day easier. One less person to get notifications from. Oh yeah, more sports is fake shit. The Toronto and Dodgers shit. The ball got stuck in the wall. Oh man, you can look at it yourself. The dude hits a dinger. It gets caught in the wall. The Dodgers dude just fucking chills. And then they don't call it a home run. Or a run, whatever. Whatever. Sports are fake news. And then Tim Pool is terrible, bro. Tim Pool is the worst, bro. My hairline is not in the it's seen better days. But Tim Pool really, his default picture is, I think this fucking Scully is attached to his head, bro. That shit is nuts. For one, just let it go, man, at that point. I'm gonna go with the Jason Statham shit soon. It's just winter right now. He be rocking that shit in July. But Tim Pool talking about Miss Rachel is a demon who harms children. Keep your kids away from this shit. Just because she's not with Palestine? Look, she just said something very reasonable. Imagine Slash and Snap, the program that helps children in the U.S. not go hungry while sending billions in weapons to another country to kill children. Pretty reasonable statement. Pretty reasonable statement. This is where we at, though. Everybody became what they condemn. Republicans is backing Cuomo. Everything, you know what I mean? That's how you know the left-right paradigm is just a washing machine. Dan Bilzerian is fucking hilarious in his responses, though. I know we don't agree on a lot of shit, though, but he, you know what I mean? He pretty straightforward and pretty fucking hilarious. I'll give him that. Ooh, they got a video of Erica Kirk putting Visine in her eyes before coming on stage. That looked crazy. Looking bad. Laura Loomer, I mean, she should be on suicide watch. That chick is crazy, bro. I feel for her. She got the fake face. She already tried to commit suicide multiple times. imagine wanting to end it all and then you come back and then you just be like super pro-Israel. Like, that's what gives you animation in life? That's crazy. You was already, so you a walk-in. Nobody's home. And they always just trying to come down on Islam all crazily. Like, bruh, have you ever seen Orthodox Christians? They be dressing modestly and wait until marriage to the practicing ones. They wait till marriage to have sex and whatnot. It's not really that much different. All the Abrahamic religions. I mean, all Muslims say that all the prophets are Muslims. They say anybody that submits to God is a Muslim. But at the same time, Jacob, I guess, I don't know how you can call him a Muslim when Jacob means one who fights with God, supposedly. Let's see what Obama has to say. Fucking young, the older puppet. More than 47 million Americans, including 1 in 5 children, don't have reliable, affordable access to nutritious food. And as the cost of living skyrockets, more families are depending on SNAP. I mean, true statement, man. And the sky's blue. I'm watching a video of people fighting the National Guard in D.C. Whatever. It'd be a bunch of people that can't fight typically. And look at the National Guard trying to chase people. You need to be in better shape. National Guard motherfuckers be looking like they work at fucking DoorDash as well. The National Guard and the air traffic controllers are all working at Uber Eats together. And then they go on they shift and go get burnt in a foot race with liberals, which is crazy work. It's just crazy how they want to upseat Maduro in Venezuela. Like, it's just, I can't ride for Maduro. He's a scumbag. Everybody I know from Venezuela, they say he's a scumbag, so I take their word for it, I'm sure. But they're just going to replace him with another scumbag. One that they like. One thing, though, I am glad about that Kim Kardashian, she said that the moon landing was fake. I'll give her that. If she never does anything else in her life, I appreciate her for that. Dan Bilzerian's hilarious. I love the APAC tracker. That shit is like constantly undermining everybody's posts. Ooh, there's a video of Fuentes saying he praises Kamala. Hold on, I want to hear this shit. Let me see real quick. Let's hear this shit real quick. Get that.
Out of a coconut tree? You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? It is, I'm not going to lie, it is funny. Like, they have a better meme game than Trump. The Trump campaign's meme game sucks. Absolutely sucks. And you know what? Somebody was telling me this, and he's right. Kamala has adopted Brat. She's Brat now. She adopted the Charlie XCX album. If Trump was smart, he would have adopted the Yeet album. He would have adopted the whole Yeet aesthetic or something like that. Vultures, Yeet. They would have done something similar. Big problem with the GOP is that they're all so fucking lame. They are lame. Trump was the only cool one. Now he's like kind of a dork. You can't actually turn your nose up and say, rap music? That's for black people. Oh, you listen to that? That's for faggots. Like, you actually have to be high in openness to be creative. But yeah, Kamala should not be underestimated. W Brat. W Brat Summer, W Coconut. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context. I love
Blue
that.
Tie Group.
Same thing. I mean, that wasn't really. What's this other jar?
So then I say, all right, yeah, Nick Fuentes has no place in the GOP. Well, I'll take all my followers and I'll go to Michigan and we'll do things I won't disclose now. And maybe we'll prevent 10,000 people from voting that otherwise would have voted Republican. If Trump follows through, he gets Michigan. If he doesn't, I'll take it. I'll take it. And they say, you'll hand the country to Kamala. I know. And good.
I don't know if he's just trying to be an accelerationist or whatever. It don't really make a difference, though. To be that invested in the paradigm is wild. But yeah, I'm about to get up out of here. It's been like 2 hours. Ugh, the backstage at Ole Miss with Erica Kirk and Jesse Waters just looking. Jesse Waters looked like he got male facial reconstructive surgery or plastic surgery. That shit looked terrible. His eyebrows look like a Mr. Potato Head joint. That shit looked crazy, bro. And she just looked like a fraud, 100% fraud. All the month, damn, these videos from Sudan look wild, though. All these people that got murked. That shit look crazy. And the shit in Nigeria is crazy too, right? I mean, I seen Trump mentioning that we needed to help the Christians in Nigeria. Bitches, Christians in Gaza. They blew up all the churches. It's Christians in Syria that's getting mistreated. It's Christians in the West Bank getting mistreated. You don't give a fuck, man. It's just so selective and disgusting. And every time they speak, make you want to throw up a little bit in your mouth. But yeah. AI is hilarious. AI about to be undefeated. In just 3 pitches, the Toronto Blue Jays commit World Series suicide in the completely fake energy harvest, 9th inning. This is also completely fake. Yeah, probably, bro. I mean, the fucking pitcher and designated hitter for the Dodgers got caught gambling and blamed it on his translator. And people bought that. One thing I do like about Ryan Mata is that he be promoting the little channels, even though they be talking about bullshit a lot of the time. It's just crazy, man. There's just not enough holistic people, you know what I mean? It's not enough people that was like athletes, athletic, or work with their body physically like that also have mastered themselves sexually. They have experience, but they're not like ruined. And then like also have been cool, but also have experienced maybe some down period. You're not really getting that, man, from many people. I'm sure it's other people out there like that, but you're not really getting that, man. You getting like straight lame or like straight psycho tyrant, you know. That's why everybody be having the sex charges or the Me Too things or whatever they be having. Or all the baby moms or baby dads, shit like that. You getting lame or you getting that? You know what I'm saying? Stu Peters, he be saying some real shit sometimes, but again, this guy his rap career looks crazy. But Candace Owens said Tyler Bauer was hooking up with young male interns at TPUSA and was involved with shady Ukrainian orphanages. Erica Kirk worked with Romanian orphanages. Tyler Bauer, Ukrainian orphanages. What's the deal with all the orphanages and why did Charlie Kirk keep a homosexual around? Questions that need to be answered. That will not be answered. Yep. Andrew Tate's last fight ever, he quit in the first round. I think his jaw got broken though. But yeah, he didn't look in good shape, bro. Oh damn, bro. I'm looking at the sports. There was no way my man was safe, but whatever. Sports is fake, and I'm not watching baseball. Donald Trump Jr. old post from 2023. Show us all the Epstein client list now. Why would anyone protect these scumbags? Ask yourselves this question daily, and the answer becomes very apparent. That's hilarious, bro. But I think that's it.
Something on your phone.
It's very sad, man.
It feels like a massacre, and it feels like, I've called it a genocide. Other people have different thoughts about it, and that's fine, right? And I don't need anybody to share the same thoughts, or you two. But I think where it gets scary is that we give, we're complicit in it because we help fund like military stuff, and that's where it's like a regular guy, you're like, well, I'm paying these taxes and they're going towards this, like, but you can't do anything, like you can talk. But it's like, you can't, I don't understand how it becomes like tough for people. Like sometimes it feels like we look out for the interests of Israel before we look out for the interests of America.
So let me say a couple things. So number one, like, I think you're a great dude, so we don't always have to agree on everything. Do I think it's a genocide? No. And here's the reason why I don't think it's a genocide, because I don't think that the Israelis are purposely trying to go in and murder every Palestinian. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they got hit hard, and I think they're trying to, like, sort of destroy this terrorist organization, and war is hell, and that is true. I also think it's true, man. I mean, I've seen people on my side of the political aisle. I'm a Republican, that, but your audience may not, who will see these videos of these innocent Palestinian kids and say, oh, well, they had it coming to them. No. Like, if you have a soul, your heart should break when you see a little kid who's suffering, which is why we have the policy that we have, which is we're trying to eliminate the conflict, eliminate the source of the conflict, so that we can actually bring some peace and some humanitarian assistance into people. And that's my basic view. And the president's interesting. He's a pro-Israel guy.
Yeah.
And he also recognizes.
Yeah, never Vance, man. I think that's the end of my night. But the source of the problem is the identity crisis of who the real Jays really are. And I talked to my friend about this. I was like, yeah, it is the Jays' fault, but who are the real Jays? That's the thing. Somebody dropped the ball, and it was the Jays. But who are the real ones? California will be underwater in the flood. Bro, the sequoia trees is older than the Bible. So, they still here. You know what I mean? Parts of California will be under the water. If you look at the old maps, you can see. If we're talking about a worldwide flood, everything would be underwater, right? Obviously, certain things survived the flood. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, the future is here. It's just not evenly distributed. And when it comes to AI, people having access to AI, if you don't have access to it, it's just like not having Google at your disposal. But that's where we're coming to with the GUARD Act. Thank you, guys. Have a good night, man. Patreon.com/Taylor Durden if you want to support.